Good evening, my name is Nisa Caldwell, and tonight I will report on debates on organization, power, and politics, and I'll be reporting on negative group. The first question is, what are the sources of power often seen in organizations? Be sure to give the definition of its source of power. Number 2. What are negative impact on an organization when its members exercise power and play political games within Mittsburg's political game playing framework? Give examples and/or your personal experiences regarding negative impacts. First, I will discuss the 5 sources of power often seen in organizations. The first source of power is known as coercive power. According to Fritz, coercive power arises from the dependent relationship between the driving agent and the recipient of force. For example, in a healthcare setting, a manager may threaten a subordinate nurse with a write-up if the subordinate nurse does not follow the manager's instructions. The second source of power, known as legitimate power, and has foundation in authority as well as social and cultural norms. In other words, an organization has a social structure in which everyone follows. These sources of power can be mutually understood and respected when it is used and not abused. The third source of power is known as referent power and has the foundation on the personal charisma of the one holding the power. In this power source, the subordinate seeks to emulate the holder of power and thus wants to mimic the person out of respect. The next source of power is known as expert power, and it is based on the leader's perceived expertise of knowledge in a particular subject matter. In the source of power, one differs and submits to the holder of power due to the power holder's expertise and knowledge. The final source of power is known as reward power, which gives the recipient a reward for following the power holder's instruction influence. Under this scenario, however, the power holder may only reward what is in that particular individual's discretion to give. Next, I will discuss the negative impact that may occur when its members exercise power and play political games within Mittsburg's political games playing framework. One negative impact of a use of power in an organization is known as disconnected influence. When disconnected influence takes place, manipulative techniques are used by the leader on the leader's employees to achieve short-term goals. As Fried notes, in the long term, the techniques may be counterproductive because people do not like being used to this fashion. While disconnected influence may allow the leader to get what he or she wants, the opposite effect, known as connected influence, leads others to achieve better result. One personal example of disconnected influence is when a new manager started on my floor when I was an LVN. This new manager constantly threatened us with write-ups if we did not achieve certain goals that the manager set. Unfortunately, too many of us complained to the higher manager because we did not appreciate being threatened that way. As a result, a new manager did not last very long. Finally, highlighted by Fritz. Political games can be played in a healthcare setting and could have potential negative impact on the organization. Among this game in which I have negative personal experience is lording. A few years ago, a high-level manager who did not have any prior experience in our department but oversaw my department and manager told our manager and staff that our particular handling of chemo patients were not correct and sought to implement a different procedure from what we were used to. This led to conflict because the higher manager was attempting to exercise his higher power over our manager and the staff, simply to save cost, but was not necessarily the best course of action. Ultimately, enough of the staff complained and the original procedure were implemented.